Okay, so we're back for episode 7. We've got Nik and Izzy. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
They've literally just landed in the office and sat on the couch straight away. So we have tried to warm up a little bit. We ended up pretty much starting the episode naturally anyway, which is a good sign. So I think we've got a lot to talk about. I think just to, set the scene of why we've got Nik and Izzy on is, first of all, they're great clients of ours, which is usually a great foundation for a podcast episode anyway, because we get to sort of blend real life experience with honesty, but also we're already on the same page. So we already know what to talk about, and I know exactly what you can give to the audience as value. I think today, the main thing for me is brand identity, but you've also, just before the episode, mentioned a few things about decision-making, speed of decision-making, making mistakes, stuff like that, which is great for us to go into as well. And we've got a lot of experience in that as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. And led by Sam, hopefully, we have a live audience. Can we have a reaction from live audience?
All the fans are in today. Yeah.
I think that was the best one so far.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to boost up the audio and edit and that, but we're all right. So welcome.
Just artificial
canned laughter, like in Friends.
Yeah, I said on one episode about I don't know if they do it anymore, but I know Man City used to do it when they used to play fan noises through the
noise. Yeah.
So maybe we could do that.
I'm pretty sure Arsenal probably had to do that at one point.
Yeah.
Our vibes are so quiet.
Oh yeah, I reckon you'd be the first person on the pod that doesn't support Liverpool or United.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure.
Still haven't won anything though. Next year, brother.
Yeah,
next
maybe.
year, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest, you're not going to get much football talk out of me.
Okay.
So we'll keep it strictly business.
We can part that.
You can speak to Sam, well, anybody other than me, basically, in the office. But let's get stuck in. So, first of all, I obviously know probably a fair bit about you both. Probably more about you, Nik, because I've known you first before Izzy. This is probably the first time I've met you properly, spoke to you properly.
Yeah.
But it's always at events and passing and things like that. But obviously, you work very closely with Joe and obviously the rest of the team as well. So.
Shout out Joe and Sean.
Is he? Oh,
for listening to all my shit loons. You said I was a good client. I'm a pain in the ass. Yeah.
He says that about everyone. I'm not going to blow trumpet. But obviously, you work really closely together. So just to give someone a quick insight without boring you too quickly, these guys use a service called Studio Unlimited, which basically gives an all-access relationship between yourselves and our team, whether that's video, tech, graphics and everything else. And we like to think that we're sort of like an extended version of the team. That service is always developing. Obviously, it changes all the time. But I think you guys were probably, when you came on board, we sort of labelled you as, I think they're the perfect candidates. As you'll know yourselves, as you grow in a business, you sort of find a client that you think is a perfect client and they turn out not to be for whatever reason. I think you guys have been. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast.
I appreciate that, man.
I genuinely believe you have, and everyone will back me up in the office. So thanks for that, first of all. But let's go back to the start of, firstly, Nik and Izzy as individuals, and then how you've then come into business and as partners as well. Because I think it's always interesting when you get a couple that are in a business together. And Mark and Jess, obviously you know Mark and Jess quite well.
Yeah.
They were the first, and I was just mesmerised because me and Lucy talk about it all the time. I don't think we could do it. So I'd like to go into that a little bit as well. But starting with you, Izzy, give us a little bit of background about you, where you started, sort of how you basically come to this point now.
Okay, I'll try and keep this short and sweet. I started off, my first professional career was as a performer. So I trained professionally as a dancer. I wanted to go into musical theatre, wanted to go on the West End. Turns out I probably wasn't good enough. I'll be honest.
I give a shit about this all the time as well.
He's like, failed dancer. But I fell out of love with that industry very quickly. I graduated, and about 2 years later, I thought, this is shit. It was just, it's a very old-fashioned industry, and it really wasn't giving me what I wanted. It wasn't satisfying at all. At the same time, I just started working at a gym called Barry's Boot Camp, which I'm sure a lot of people know. And I started off working on the desk, and that's where I met this one.
Was it like a smooth talker type?
He tried, yeah.
I have zero chats.
There's a whole story about
Just-
Facebook DMs. It was Facebook DMs back then.
Right,
and basically I did pie him off for a bit, and then I eventually warmed up to him. But
She basically realised that she had no one else. So.
Who's that Nik guy?
All
He
the
was
other
like,
clients that asked me
archives, yep, he'll do.
this one,
Let's
sure.
go.
And the rest is history. and then ended up becoming an instructor at Barry's Boot Camp. Was there for a few years, absolutely loved it, kicked off my fitness career, adored it. That kind of performance element, obviously what I trained in, was a perfect kind of segue into fitness world. Then left that to start a company with this one and three of our friends called Grindhouse, which was kind of riding off the back of COVID times, online fitness app where people could train at home with a pair of dumbbells. And then from there, we moved on and started our own online coaching business together, our own platform.
Which is?
Arate.
Which is probably the coolest name we've had so far.
Do you think?
It took us a while to understand. I think it was one of them where we thought we knew how to pronounce it until you pronounced it. You actually came up with not come up with the word, but do you want to give us a bit of a background of Arate before we go into you, Nick? Where it came from?
Yes, Arate is a Greek mythology concept, which essentially represents the virtue of excellence. So I did philosophy at university, so it feels like a full circle moment as well. But for me, fitness has always been an extension of not just like physical strength or before and after. It's always been about the mental as well. Like for me, how fitness has impacted my mindset, my mentality, my confidence, my lifestyle. But then it's like the conjunction of the body, mind, and spirit and acting as one for you to realize your excellence in life, whether that's your professional life, your personal life, your virtues as a human being. So for us, what we were trying to encapsulate with our message towards the fitness industry, for me, I could obviously talk a lot more about this, but I'm a bit sick and tired of the whole before and after fitness narrative, quick fixes.
We'll get into that.
It's a harder sell, but that for me was just like the perfect representation of what, for me, fitness is. It's just your excellence. And fitness is something that is very personal to me because when I was younger, I was a fucking melt. And I didn't know my arse from my elbow. So fitness has allowed me to essentially realize my excellence.
Yep.
So the feeling that I feel now from being physically fit, mentally fit, just like almost knowing what I want in life, I'm like, I want everyone to have that feeling. So that's what
There's a bit of a beauty in that, isn't there? And anyone I've ever met that is in understands and values fitness and health and mental health and everything, they usually have quite a more, I guess, detailed and passionate approach when they know what it's like on the other side of the coin.
Oh yeah, bro,
because you know what it was like to not be like that.
Yeah.
Which is quite a cool feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So what about Nick then? So we'll go back onto the brand in a second because just for anybody listening now, the Arete brand is probably, I mean, I reckon the last 4 episodes of the both 2 shows that we do, the Friday show and the podcast, we've shown a glimpse of concepts of, you won't have seen yet because they're not live, but we've shown glimpses of being one of the favorite brands we've worked on forever, since we started. And I want to go into why that is, but I want to know about Nick first.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I think in one of the things which, Izzy said, like a performer. So Izzy fell into the industry and it was so easy for her because she was a performer. So I was the anti version of that. I was a lost little kid after university, went into working in the corporate world. I worked in marketing for 5 years.
That makes sense now.
What's that?
Didn't know that. That makes a little bit more sense now.
But I have a stutter. So that was essentially one of the reasons why I went into the marketing world. For me, the concept of training or being able to coach someone was just a no-go. I wasn't even able, to answer the phone at work. It was super bad. So the thought of me sitting here now or teaching or being able to achieve what I have was just mate, it was something which I couldn't have even dreamed of. But that kind of link with the whole fitness aspect, the reps you do, the failures that you learn from when you're working out, essentially just fitness taught me failure. So I quit my job at the age of 26, found myself kind of assisting at a gym called Ministry Does Fitness. At the same time, I worked for Izzy. No, sorry, I met Izzy, and we were just kind of navigating through life. We were just sort of figuring our shit out. Just so happened that one day, the coach at the studio was ill, so I had to coach one of the Monday morning sessions.
Is that at Barry's?
No, a Ministry.
At the Ministry, right? Okay.
And I didn't sleep the night before. I was like, okay, this is it. I'm royally fucked. I put on the mic and I was fluent for the first time ever in my life.
Really?
It was crazy. It was a eureka moment. I think that, just because of the music and the lights, and I was like, holy shit. And ever since then, I was like, right, it's on. So, 7 years, just literally living the dream, living the dream. Fitness is, when I teach a fitness class, it's the only time I'm fluent on the mic. It's crazy. And I'll be sat sometimes at home with Izzy and like my stutter will be bad. She's like, fucking hell, hurry up. She's like, spit your words out, mate.
I don't actually ever say that, just to clarify.
You read the face.
Yeah, but like, so in these situations, when I'm on socials, like it's almost, it's like I've trained myself into this. So like we talk about, you know, the mental reps, the repetition, the failure. Like for me, this is just like, now I'm super comfortable because I've had 1 million failed reps.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a nice little story of being able to throw yourself into like what was once your largest nemesis. Like literally the thought of even recording an episode of, you know, maybe something of this magnitude would be like a no-go.
It's crazy for me, really, because I think the first time I don't think it was the first time I met you, but the first time I seen you, the passion that you have for brand identity and marketing and vision and everything was when you sat on stage at one of Phil Graham's events.
Yeah.
So to think now, to hear the backstory of that, then know that without even thinking, you've been on stage and I wouldn't have even known any different.
Well, I'm not sure if you noticed at that event, so I was wearing an earphone. So whenever I public speak, I always have music in my ear. Because it just relaxes me. It's like that psychological thing of when there's music in my ear, then I'm absolutely fine.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I was listening to Afro music that day, just hanging out. Sometimes it's R&B, sometimes it's hip hop, sometimes it's slow jams. At our wedding speech, it was slow jams.
So it was a shame that you had some good music in one ear and Phil barking down your ear.
Yeah, man. So like, obviously, I mean, the last 7 years has been amazing. We've had offline experience, we've had online experience, we've had it all. And I think with the performance element, like one of my favorite things about coaching at somewhere like Barry's and even like, you know, the online world, is the performance. And like with fitness and like you're essentially creating an experience for someone. And that is the one thing that we really realized. When you got 50 people in a room and you got music, vibes, energy, yes, you want the workout to be sick, but you want them to feel like they've like lived through something, like that 1 hour of their day, no matter what's happening in their, you know, maybe world or their life, it's that 1 hour that they feel invincible. So like creating an experience for us. I think that's one of the things with Arate as well. Like it's not just online, you know, PT, it's not just a program. Like we're trying to create an experience for someone to live through because it's that they feel connected and a part of something. So it is, mate, it's a fucking challenge, but if you can create that, then...
Well, it's definitely the hardest way to do it. Like we'll go into that in more detail as well, because experience is a big thing that I'm passionate about, and I think that's what you've sort of encapsulated really well in your brand. But just to sort of hold on a minute with sort of everything you've just said so far, both of you, is the reason why I guess I want to do this section at the start of the podcast, because I'm conscious that people are listening and you'll have coaches and online coaches, personal trainers, gym owners listen to this podcast and they want to get into the value, which today is going to be brand identity and all those things. But because of the way the industry's gone and some of the perception, sometimes skewed perception, sometimes it's perception for the right reasons, for the outside of the industry and what an online coach is and who they are and what the, you know, the values are, and usually it's around, you know, money. It's very seen as a very lucrative industry now, and there's trust is probably at an all-time low, I would say, for online coaches, for people on the outside of the industry. But when we do these podcasts, you see the people, and I think that's what is massively overlooked for anybody that's looking for an online coach or a personal trainer. It's the people. Sometimes some online coaches are just dickheads, and that's the reason why it happens. But some just get tarred with that brush of being an online business owner or an online coach, or you know, being in Dubai. You guys live in Dubai at the minute. All those things come with connotations that completely disregards you as people. Which is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And especially like the move to Dubai, you do feel like you are just pigeonholed in a, oh, of course, you're an online coach and you've moved to Dubai. Like there obviously is a bit of a typecast of that.
We were really afraid of that, if I'm honest. And I even said to Izzy, I was like, we need to be like, for me, association is important. And like, I didn't want to associate myself with, and I'll be real, I think most of the fitness industry are fucking assholes. Like I don't have many friends in the industry, and I don't mind saying that. Like, if I'm honest, it's very vacuous, it's very fickle. Yes, trust is at an all-time low because people think they can come into the industry now and make, you know, maybe 6 figures, but it's like, okay, what have you achieved? Like, you know what I mean? Like, mate, we've done 10,000 hours. We literally have, like, we've sweated on the floor. We've met so many clients. We've networked. we've got the experience, and now, you know, actually moving online is an opportunity for us to impact more lives, but we know our product is shit hot. And I know it is, but we've earned that over 10 years. Like, if you're a young coach now and you're just thinking, oh, I'm going to make a, you know, fuckload of money online and live in Dubai, it's like, okay, we won't see you in 3 years' time.
It'll be really short-lived.
My prediction is that 50% of the online PTs now, you ain't going to be seeing them in 3 years' time. They'll be gone because they'll sell and they'll make a, you know, little bit of money, you know, but they're shit.
Well, also, they won't have the heart and soul behind it. So there's only so long I think you can do that before you're like, okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
But not even that. You get found out. Like, word of mouth is mad. And we even hear some top PTs right now. Like, we're on sales calls or we meet clients that are like, oh God, he was an asshole. And I'm like, your reputation's everything.
Yeah.
So make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Yes, we all want to make money. Like, I like making money, but you want to make sure you impact first, you create an experience. Your brand, your reputation, your name is the most important thing ever. So hold on to that.
And you want people to work with you because they've got on a call with you or you've chatted to them and they felt a genuine connection with you.
Yeah.
And maybe they know a bit more about you as a human being rather than like, oh, I've just seen some transformations on your page or whatever, which we'll talk about later. Don't get into that.
Enough, with anyone we work with, I always say, why do you want to work with me? No one's ever said, oh, because you upload sick workouts.
Yeah.
Everyone's just been like, oh, I just thought you were a really relatable guy and I feel like I can learn something from you. And actually, like, I really like that because I'm not the smartest trainer. Like, yes, I know my shit, but I want someone to feel like they can connect with me.
Yeah.
I feel like that is so much more important rather than being like a commodity. Because if you're a commodity and someone's only wanting to work with you for maybe a short amount of time, yes, they might work with you for 90 days, but our average client stays with us for 2 years.
Which
Great
is
lifetime value.
pretty high.
Yeah,
Very high.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Obviously, you just mentioned a few sort of components of that, but what would you say if you could nail it down to one exact thing of why that is 2 years? What would that be?
We don't do quick fixes. So if you're looking for the fastest 90-day transformation, we're not your guys. And I actually say that on the sales call.
Yeah. So how do you premise that then? How do you set the tone of that when you're potentially looking at a client and you know, well, it doesn't really matter how hot of a lead they are or whatever, it's irrelevant, but you know that you want to work with them, which is just as important, isn't it, as them wanting to work with you? How do you set the tone from the start to say we are not a quick fix?
I think using my own experience, like I've been training for 10 years. I've only been happy with my physique for the last 3, if I'm being honest. Like, I made a shitload of mistakes. I've navigated through a lot of ups and downs, but all of that is feedback and information. So the whole thing about trying to create a perfect 90 days, mate, it's never going to happen. Like, you have some coaches trying to adhere to this, like, you have to be 100% on plan. It's like, you can't be 100% on plan. Not with life, family, kids, holidays. Like, why do you want to be 100% on plan? No one's 100%. You have to make
not
mistakes.
realistic.
But if you set a 12-month plan and be like, all right, cool, we're just going to, like, maybe for the first 3 months, just learn some new habits. All right, cool. So let's just, actually maybe start there. But it's like, the slower it takes to see a result, the longer you will stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I try to almost look at it as like a 12-month kind of vision to sell them like the long-term result, like a year from now. A year's not a long time. If you can't commit a year to your life, to your physical and mental health, then I don't want to work with you. Simple as that. It's like, sounds stupid, but everyone's like, 3 months. It's like, mate, you've been out of shape for 5 years. You ain't going to get results in 3 months.
Or the results that you want. The end result
Yeah.
isn't going to come in 3 months.
So it is alignment, and you are right. And not everyone is like, we've said no to more individuals, than sort of yes, and that's fine. Because actually, and again, we've all had the same experiences. You bring on a client and they're a pain in the ass, and it makes you worse as like a coach. And I presented it.
Yeah.
It's that impact on energy, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think.
It is.
I know Phil actually talked about this quite a lot. It's recovery. And he talks about it in particular in like a sales call scenario or something.
Yeah.
But it's the idea, for anybody that sort of hasn't thought about it this way, it's the idea of every action as a recovery period.
Yeah.
Whether that's a call, whether that's a conversation with somebody, whether it's doing a certain action, a job, whatever. Everyone takes into account the time that it takes for that thing. So let's say you've got a call with a pain in the ass client that's maybe been with you for a year, but they're just not listening, or whatever the reason is. You go, okay, I've got a half an hour call with that person. You go, right, okay, let's factor in a half an hour. But realistically, you're probably looking at double that time, if not triple that time sometimes, because of the recovery period after it, and the impact that it's had on your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks about that.
No.
I think if you start considering that, first of all, you very quickly identify the people that do sap the energy and you get rid of them. But secondly, you're aware of it and you plan for it. And
Absolutely.
I think that the position that puts you in business, but as, you know, in lifestyle anyway, is massive.
You become a lot more picky and ruthless from that as well. Because I've got off sales calls before, haven't I? And I've just slammed the laptop and come in and gone,
She said naps.
oh, I need a nap.
Yeah.
Like I need to nap
Perfect
to get
example.
over that, because that felt so not on my wavelength that I need to never speak to that person ever again. Like, with respect, they had their own ideas of what they wanted to get out of it. And I just said, I don't think I can actually help you because we are not on the same.
But there's a couple of things that you both said so far that it's all related back to mindset, but there's a certain level of contentment in both of you, I think, that allows you to make that decision. A lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, bro.
You have to be very strong in your values.
Yeah, and I think also what you want, like, I'll be real and say this, I hate sales calls. I'm not a salesman. I'm a fitness coach. I don't like to sell. I dream of a time where someone comes onto my website and I have all my prices listed out.
And they just go.
Because it's
Yes or no?
like a luxury watch or a brand or a handbag, all the prices are there. And I think like we're in this weird phase in the fitness industry where it's like, it's all about secrets. And yes, you can charge a premium for your program. But again, by being transparent, you will attract the right type of people and you're not going to waste a shitload of time trying to strong arm someone in signing up with you. And I'll be really like, I don't like it. So I even said to Izzy, I was like, I need to find ways where, what can we do to maybe lead the way now? Where we even said, shall we just whack our prices up on our website? Yes, cool. We're going to do it. I don't care. If you don't want to have a sales call with me, and I don't want to, I'd rather not waste 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours of my week having sales calls with people.
Yeah.
I'd rather someone just be like, mate, love what you're about. I'm going to sign up and work with you. Cool.
And it's a long game, that though.
How
That's
sick
the
is that?
point, isn't it? That's why people don't do it, because it's not an overnight success.
Yeah.
You've almost got to, you know, there's no smoke and mirrors where you at the front end, you get people on calls and it feels great. But then in reality, they know absolutely nothing. Which means that there's less predictability of the outcome.
Yeah, and like, I mean, the last 6 months, I've sat on a few webinars like for sales and masterminds. And I remember sitting in our lounge one day and I was like, since when did I become a sales rep? And she was like, yeah. I was like, I'm not doing this. I was like, I'm a coach, man. Like, I want to fucking help people.
Yeah.
I don't need to learn about sales. Like, I know you need to sell yourself every day with what you do in your social media. And I know essentially every opportunity is selling. We are still selling, but not to the point where I feel like I'm on Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I mean?
Like, let's dig into this then, because I think this is the perfect segue of the reason why you've started to build the brand that you do.
Yeah.
And I'm really sort of interested in this outlook, because you are probably in one of a few camps in the industry. You probably enjoy sales and you'll talk about it and it's fine. You don't enjoy sales, but you're scared to say that you don't enjoy sales.
Yeah.
Or you don't enjoy sales and you're not scared to say, which is you. Which means that it does make the journey a little bit more difficult if you out and out do not want to do sales, do not enjoy sales. It makes it more difficult because you have to sell, obviously, as you'll know. So you've got to find a way around it to think, well, how can we still sell without pushing people, strong arming people into a sales call, or, you know, putting smoke and mirrors up so that it sort of kind of tricks people into speaking to me, and then I can try and win them around later on. And I mean, for me, that's connection. It's emotional connection, which I think you guys are quite big on. So let's dig into the brand. Take us back to the first point where you thought, I want to build this brand. Arete, you might not have had the name at the time, but take us on that journey of how you've come to build the brand that you've got now. Because I think if anybody is listening now and you go and have a look, you will see what we mean straight away by emotional connection and building something that is outside the box of the fitness industry. So can you sort of take us on that journey?
I think it started when alongside Barry's, I was PTing 5 to 10 men literally on the sides, and a lot of them used to travel and work and they used to have families and whatnot. So I'd be charging them a premium for 1 hour inside the gym, and then suddenly I wouldn't see them for 3 weeks. And it was really annoying me. And I was like, God, this is shit. So I started to create a team where I was like, okay, cool. What do you need from me when you're away? And they're like, oh, I need food. I need this. My sleep shit. So I'm obviously someone that I value my, physical performance, my mental performance. I've worked with nutritionists as well. I've worked with experts on sleep. obviously read a lot about it. So like, I kind of like created this package where I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to charge you the same retainer, just from, the one-on-one sessions, but I'm also going to send you a nutrition plan. We'll manage your lifestyle. We'll manage your sleep schedule. And we kind of like tried it out with 3 or 4 individuals, and the results I was seeing were like superior. And I was like, oh shit, this is actually amazing. So then I just thought I was like, maybe I have something here. And this was actually way before online, PT was a thing. It was like 2019, 2020. When we went into COVID, I was already doing online coaching for like a year. And Mark Ross was helping me out with it. Shout out Mark Ross, fucking legend. But like, it was that thing. And I was like, okay, cool. But the message behind it, like none of the men I was working with was necessarily interested in having a 6-pack. And they all looked good. But I wanted the 6-pack to be a result of the actions, almost like someone in a suit at work, and you're like, is he in shape? But you don't know. Yeah. It's like a sign of respect. But with the handshake, the energy, the aura, it was all of those things which like they valued more. So for me, it was all about the lifestyle. Like I wanted to create a way of life where you value your performance, your sleep, your food, not because you're trying to shed weight, but because you know it's going to be helpful for your energy in the morning, and you're not going to have an energy slump because you're having vanilla syrup macchiato with a croissant or something like that in the morning, but you're eating like something that will actually maybe nourish you for your meetings. Yeah. And then like, yeah, man, on the side, it became more of a thing. And I was like, we have something here. Yeah. So there's just, you need to flick the switch and make sure you go all in on it. But for us, it's always been about, performance, just potential and performance. Yeah.
And so obviously you've sort of broke down the fundamentals of, I guess, the service that you offer, the packaging, things like that, and what you would get as a client. What about the visual impact that you wanted to create? Because I guess the missing piece of what you just said is, well, if you don't really enjoy sales, you've been quite forward about that. You don't want to be a sales rep. You don't want to work with people that you don't want to work with, which means you sometimes leave money on the table. So how have you come to create a brand that solves all the problems for you? Where's the inspiration come from to do that?
I think the brand identity was more me, wasn't it? Like I've always had quite a strong vision on like there are some brands that I look up to, but for me it was like the connection. It was almost just like alignment. Like when you just look on someone's website and you're like, yeah, no, like I really roll with this brand.
Yeah. I can feel something.
You feel it. It's like you don't need to say anything, it's just a feeling. So I wanted to create something similar. And again, I feel like fitness brands are quite shit. They're quite kind of shallow. They're like an echo chamber and they're a carbon copy of one another. So I wanted a brand that I could potentially roll out into a gym, a coffee shop, some merchandise. I wanted a name, a feeling that I wasn't looking to make the most amount of money next year, but I was thinking in 10 years, will this brand be standing the test of time? So that for me was the vision.
And even down to the name.
Yeah, with Arate, it's like, it's a feeling. It's not, the fucking lean, like executive or whatever, some of the things that are,
So I guess that's what, in the perfect scenario, obviously I'm sure it's still a little bit more difficult, but in the perfect scenario, that feeling, that connection is what fills the void of you not being a forceful salesperson, because it sells itself. And the people that know, they see it. They feel it. So there is less need for you, like you said before, having to strong arm people into a sales call and that, like traditional online coach. Outset, mindset, action, which is quite a cool thing and not many people doing it.
Yeah. And I would hope that almost the tone of like everything that we've done, even from like the visuals of the brand, to like the feel and the vibe, by the time you actually get on a call with someone, they kind of know what you're about anyway. So you're just kind of having a nice chat rather than like, here are 10 slides as to why you should work with me. It's like they already kind of know. And I just feel like that makes it so much easier, because if you've communicated that enough, it's like they're super warm by the time you talk to somebody, and then you're just having a really nice chat, talk about their goals, and you go, yeah, I can really help you. Are you in or are you out? And then it just makes everything so much simpler. Yeah.
It's almost like a filter, isn't it? That you when you create something that has impact, that genuinely aligns with you and the people that you want to work with, there's obviously, you can look at the industry as like a supply chain. You've got your clients, you've got the partners, you've got service providers, you've got all these people that you're going to work with in some capacity. And when you create something that has impact, it almost filters the people out that you don't want to work with automatically, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, the clients are coming to you that actually want to work with you, or the calls that you're on a little bit easier, the relationships are better to build, easier to build. the people like us, the service providers that you might work with, all of a sudden we're already labeling you as someone we want to work with as well as you want to work with us.
Yeah.
Then obviously other partners in the industry, you go, before even meeting you, like today is the first proper time we've had like a real proper conversation, but we already knew that we would get on because of what you built.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is just all emotional connection, and I think that's the key.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think alignment is super important. Yeah, and having that small circle, like even with you guys, like the reason why, and like I must say, the reason why it was so easy to communicate the brand is because like we let you guys fly with it, and I think that's the most important thing. Like we had a vision or an understanding of what we wanted, but as far as the creative flair, we aren't the creators. You guys are the creators, but you just knew. So when you have that synergy and alignment, like mate, within a week it was literally there, and there was no feedback. I was like, no.
Everything starts with a vision, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Creativity isn't really much without a vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's no direction.
I think we were quite free flowing with like, in terms of just like design, we had an idea of what we wanted, but I think we would just said to you guys, like, just show us something and we'll kind of roll with it.
But again, that because of the vision that you've had and the ideas that you put across, sort of answers questions automatically for Joe, for example, who was working creative for you.
Yeah.
So it just, everything's just a little bit easier. And I think it just seems so simple when we talk about it, because we understand it and you understand the impact of connection and alignment. It seems so simple, and you think, why don't people put more time into understanding it?
Yeah.
I think if more people put more time into understanding it in the fitness industry, we'd have so much, the brands would be so much cooler. There'd be less shit brands, there'd be less similarity between the brands. Like you said before, that tradition. I think we are seeing a slight movement towards the blend of fitness and lifestyle, which is great.
Yeah.
I think you've got some big players out there, like you said to you before, like 247, Represent, March On. They're all playing this I guess this role of pulling people with them, like the Pied Piper. They're going, this is how you build a brand.
It's a movement.
Yeah, it is.
It's exactly what it is.
And it's storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you look at those founders, like I know Ollie, and he's honestly one of the sickest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, he's great.
But he is an example of like, you know, like you see the glory, but this guy's been on social media every day for 10 years.
Showing up.
He's not missing a post.
Showing up daily.
Don't understand the hard work now. Like he was the first, I wouldn't say influencer, he's not an influencer. Like he's a man of influence. He was the first PT I followed 10 years ago when I was working in an office. And I was thinking, wow, I'd like to maybe do that.
And the gyms didn't exist.
Yeah. When gyms didn't exist, he had a warehouse, I think his first ever gym, and he had this program called Functional Physiques. I've been a fan ever since. Shout out, Ollie.
Another shout out.
But, you know, like it takes time, man. Like, you know, these guys have been doing it for 10 years. Same with the Represent guys.
Yeah, the Represent story.
For 11 years. And then suddenly you think, overnight success. It's like,
Me and Liam was talking about this the other day, because the amount of people that we've now seen, obviously because the likes of Represent, I guess, are making the way to mainstream, as in more people are now aware of them that wasn't before. Before it was like, if you know, you know. Like if you see someone wear Represent, you were like, you're cool, you know.
Yeah.
Now more people are wearing it, which, you know, kind of dilute some areas of it, but the way that they reacted to that then to then keep the exclusivity of what the brand ethos is to begin with. Anyway, that's going off on a tangent. What my point was, me and Lee was talking about the other day, the amount of people that have would say like, oh, imagine being Ollie March On. But realistically, 98% of the industry couldn't sustain being Ollie March On. And that's just credit to him, because you see the outset and how, I guess, flashy might not be the right word, but all the greatness, the success, the gyms, the brand, the supplements. He's essentially been able to create what would be most fitness business owners' dream. He's been able to combine the supplements with the merch, and so many people struggle to do that. But then the actual background of being able to do that daily now, and then what it's took to get to that point, most people could not do.
Yeah, and it's understanding the process and the long game. And like that lifestyle is not for everyone. You might think you want to lose weight. You might think you want a six pack. You might think you want to own, several gyms and have, like a multi-7-figure business. But the process that it's going to take you to get there, be prepared to literally isolate yourself for 10 years and work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's like this old school entrepreneur, you've got to sleep on a sofa, but like, building a business is a full-time job.
There are certain things that you can't avoid.
Yeah, exactly.
You can obviously control different areas of it and your approach to things, but there are certain pillars of building a business that you've got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not flashy.
No.
It's hard.
It's not sexy.
Like hard work and mundane. We even say that like a lot of what, our role is like, and this is the funny thing about social media, people think you live this like really glamorous life. I'm like, mate, I live the most simple life there is.
Especially
but
when
at the
we
same time, I
moved.
love it. Yeah.
People were like, oh my gosh, Dubai, you must be like living it up.
On the beach every
Clubs
day,
every day.
yeah.
I was like, we've not been to one beach club. We've literally been in our flat on our laptops every day, just doing the daily stuff,
having meal
ticking
prep.
boxes,
Yeah.
having meal prep every day. Like we have not been living anywhere near a bougie lifestyle. And I think people had that idea about
Phil actually says this, and actually it's a really nice analogy. Like, are you creating or are you living? And we are creating. And I said to Izzy, I was like, I will create for 5 years. I don't need to live. Like, me living is actually seeing my family and just like actually working out. Like, I can live every day through the small. Like, I love the small things.
You don't need much.
And like, for me, the success isn't the flashiness, it's actually the freedom. Like, I want the freedom, but for me, the success is the impact. So if I can impact, I'll create all day long.
Yeah.
But you gotta love it. Like, we love it. Like, I love this shit so much. Like, being able to impact someone's life and see not just like the physical progression, but like how it's, you know, I had a friend who's a client who actually invited me to his wedding last week. Like, that for me was like, fuck, he invited me to his wedding.
That's incredible.
That's cool. Do you know what I mean? And like, for me, that's the impact that I want to have on people.
I think it's a good message, really, and I guess you guys are on the same page. That me and Liam talk about it quite a lot because we went through a stage where, like you said, I would predict that me as a person, knowing me better than anyone knows me, I'm probably going to be in that creative phase probably next 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
Don't know how I'll get out with it, to be honest, but it's because I love it. I love the day to day, and we went through a stage where I was like, what are we doing this for? Because the same way that you've talked about playing the long game stuff, that's exactly what we've done with Graphfit. It's building something that is going to outlive me. It's bigger than Callum. It's bigger than Liam. It's bigger than anybody that works inside it. It's going to be a beast. That takes time, and then you think, well, it's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
So you start thinking, well, what am I doing it for? Because I've already admitted that I'm going to be in it for as far as I can think of for now, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it's. I'm not going anywhere. I'm also moaning because every day is really, really tough. So I'm thinking, there isn't anything left, so what am I doing it for? And then I think, well, what do I enjoy? I enjoy every day, right? So that's what I'm doing it for, so why am I not enjoying it?
Yeah.
And then as soon as you understand the equation in your head and you start going, fucking how lucky am I to be able to do this?
Yeah.
To build this thing, to be, you know, potentially a success story that, amongst others, that, you know, people say it's really difficult to build a business. I mean, the stats of small businesses failing is incredible.
Yeah.
So you go, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's crack on.
Let's
build something that nobody else has built before.
100%. And also be prepared, like, you know, like you said, mate, like, it's not going to be all roses. Like, sometimes it's going to be lonely. There's going to be like some stressful days. Like, I would say the last 6 months has been the hardest 6 months of our life. You know, like, we've had all this success and we've achieved everything. I feel like if it ended tomorrow, I would be happy. And I've always said that to Izzy. I was like, I've actually achieved everything. Like, I've already won. I've worked with some of the most amazing brands. Like, I've made money. Like, I've had impact. If it ended tomorrow, I'll be really content. But it's the constant development, which is what I obsess over.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say want to have more success, but want to make more impact. That for me is the goal. But with that, it's fucking hard, bro, because you have to constantly iterate. You make a shitload of mistakes and you got to be thick-skinned. So it's like the success is a product of like a lot of failures as well. But if you can navigate through those failures and be comfortable with swimming in shit for a long time, then you're going to be sweet. Yeah.
Well, what about as a couple then? Because that adds a certain dynamic, doesn't it? Obviously. How have you found that working together? Because obviously, I guess you kind of, I mean, it's a little bit different because you're not working in somebody else's 9-to-5 office together. It's a little bit different. It's your passion. You're able to create every day, and you've met through the passion in the first place. So I guess there's a different spin on it. But how have you find working together as a couple, living together, and basically being with each other so
24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say probably our biggest struggle has been kind of boundary setting.
Yeah.
Because it just all blends into one naturally. Like, you'll literally be about to go to sleep and you're like, oh, I've just thought of something to do with the brat. I mean, this is usually him. It's not usually me. I compartmentalize.
I'm terrible.
But he is on 24/7. As soon as he opens his eyes in the morning, his brain is going at a million miles an hour. I'm like, give me an hour.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't work like that. I need wake up time, breakfast time, work time, sleep time. Like, I'm very this. But it kind of starts, it is really easy. Like you will just have a thought and you just say it. Where there's like, that wouldn't be acceptable. If you worked in like an office 9 to 5, you wouldn't email your boss at like midnight. Like I've just had a thought. So it's like, we've really tried to train ourselves to.
Maybe we've got some weirdos in this office, but that's kind of what I get. So I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Nah, it's a great thing, by the way, if anyone's listening.
If anyone's listening out there.
Yeah, don't stop doing
if the fans are listening.
Don't stop it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's been our main thing, hasn't it? I would say.
Yeah, and like it has been hard because again, like you have to switch from like colleague, like to husband, and that is really hard. But when again, like you're in creation mode, like sometimes it is a 24/7 thing. So sometimes when I'm always in that mindset, I just like I can be on all the time, and as I said, like I think it can be my largest strength, but also one of my largest weaknesses because I'm just on like all the time, but. Again, I don't know if I want to shy away from that because I think that's what allows me, to excel. Like I love it. I love like my mind is literally like just all over the place.
That it's a good point you make there because I've had the slight experience of that just to sort of add, I guess, a bit more weight to it. I went through the whole phase of thinking, do I need to start exploring mindset and understood the importance of mindset in business and the powers of it, of understanding it, being able to unlock different areas of the brain and stuff. And I went through a phase of thinking, do I need to do more, I guess, mental performance exploration? And then when I looked into breaking it down of what I actually would probably going to need to change or what I was going to learn from it, I was thinking, albeit they could be seen as negative factors, like always being switched on, not being able to have a good work-life balance, not being able to do this, not being able to that. I was thinking, right now in this stage of life, to achieve what I need to achieve, I believe I need them. So albeit they may be seen as negative things, and at some point in life you're going to try and overcome them or change them or change the balance of some things. But I was like, I think that is me right now. That's giving me the edge over everybody else. Yeah. So I think it's just timing as well, isn't it?
It's not always 50-50. I think people think a work-life balance is you have to have 50% on each side. And actually sometimes it's 80-20 and it will be like that for a while. And I think for you,
I think it's more.
You're much more that way.
You look at any top athlete, you at the top of their game, mate, there's no balance. It's not even 99.1%.
No,
it's all in for 20 years to get to the top. But again, it's like they see the glory, like they see the belts, they see the arena, they see you scoring the goal. But no one is willing to put in that sacrifice for that amount of time. Like it's an obsession. And I sometimes will wake up and I'm like, I'm not actually working hard enough. I need to do more. Like everyone can be working a little bit more. Yes, it's nice having someone who can kind of rein you in a little bit, and that is one thing we are working on. Like, it's not all about working harder, and I think that for me is the one thing I have realized. The last 7 years, if I'm honest, I've been at 100%. So when we moved to Dubai, I think that was the first time I experienced burnout to a point where like it's the first time I felt clouded. I wasn't operating, at my normal speed. And now it's about, yes, you can work hard, but you have to work smart. And about understanding that the times I'm on, I'm really on, but I need to be more intentional with having like pockets in the day where I switch off, maybe nature, maybe sunlight, sleeping more efficiently. Like my sleep went to shit. I was training way too hard. So there is a shelf life for that. So like understanding performance, like high performance sometimes isn't the amount of work you're doing, it's the amount of time you're recovering as well. So it's just finding that sweet spot as well.
There's a certain level of self-awareness needed for that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And experience, life experience.
Yeah.
And I think that just going back to, I don't want to sort of shoot back too much, but just going back to the point you were making earlier about how sort of your journey into where you are now, and how there's sort of the trends of, I guess, younger people starting and not maybe doing the reps to begin with. They don't have that life balance, don't have that life experience, they don't have the self-awareness yet. And it's not necessarily their fault. Sometimes it's an age thing, it is a reps thing, it's a time thing. And,
it is.
I'm hoping, I guess, as an advocate for the fitness industry, I'm hoping that younger people coming into the industry will find a different way to get the experience that you guys are sharing now. Because I don't think the industry will wait for them to another 10 years to put the reps in. I feel like the journey's got to be different. So
it's
the journey
moving a lot faster now, isn't it?
Yes, I don't think they can I don't think they can afford to wait around. But I guess it depends what your goals are, what you're looking to achieve.
And like I think it just comes maybe down to like being like proactive. Like we've got a new venture that we're going to be working on, which we'll fill you guys in on after this as well. But like a lot of that is offline marketing. And actually that made us like we had this kind of eureka moment where we're like, I know the focus is on social media right now, but like I kind of tap into, we met up with a friend for lunch a few weeks ago. He's actually on a Netflix show right now, so like he's in the limelight. And he was talking to us about some things for the program and niching down. And again, just the old school, like someone that's not in the fitness industry. Sometimes the best people to learn things from are not actually the people in your industry. This man has created a brand from just networking, from relationships. Yes, he's on social media, but it's those old school principles, which I feel like the younger generation aren't really aware of now.
Yeah.
And then we were sitting at home and my mum was like, oh my God, I know what you can do. And like formulating partnerships. We won't ever have a lead issue ever again. Mark my words, in 1 year's time, if we do this, we're never going to have a lead problem ever again. And we may not even actually use social media. It's that fucking powerful. But it's the concept of like, yes, social media is a tool, but sometimes actually sending an email or answering the phone or meeting someone face to face, you can't replace that, man. Like that is always here to stay.
It's that fitness bubble, isn't it? The fitness industry bubble.
Yeah. And everyone gets a bit like, everyone's kind of trying to take things from them.
Yeah.
But it's like, what if you just looked outside? Like there's a whole like bigger, like, because we've always wanted to be a bit more premium or a bit more highbrow, you know,
Exclusive,
trying to get people to use their brains a bit more. Like, rather than just like, I want a six pack. Like, why? Like, we're trying to get people to think a bit higher. And so then like, why wouldn't you take inspiration from the hotel industry, from property industry, from like all these other like huge businesses and brands that are doing so well and are making it more about people now as well. You know, it seems to be a real big trend, like making it about the person rather than like the hotel or the house or whatever it is.
It's the experience, isn't it?
And it's the feeling and the experience and it all ties in. And I just think the more you can take from elsewhere, the stronger you're going to be, or possibly navigating a new route that's better for everyone.
Hospitality is a key one, I think. I think there's so many similarities between, because, all right, it's probably a lot more in person than potentially going to be as an online coach. But if you look at the journey from somebody essentially using the service or using the product that you give, if you really dumb it down to that level, there's actually so many components, even the likes of, you know, onboarding, what we call onboarding, like you walk into a hotel for the first time and being greeted and then being shown to your room and them looking after you and giving you this and giving you that, that's onboarding.
Yeah.
Like, but when you don't think about it like that, because the buzzwords sort of like stray you away and you think that, you sort of set the ceiling of the industry that you're in. So you're like, well, what's the best I can do in this industry? It shouldn't really be like that. It should be, what's the best that I can do, full stop.
Yeah.
What do I do on a daily basis
100%.
that leads back to the experience and the connection? And I guess that's what you guys are so big on, which is what makes you stand out, which is huge.
So.
Oh, it does. It does, because obviously, I mean, I guess we can't speak from your target audience perspective. We can understand them a lot because we do a lot of branding for you and stuff. But I feel like I've got a good understanding of connection. So I feel like I can sniff a connection out pretty quickly. I know what aligns with people. Well, I guess my job, so it's pretty shit for them. And that's what it screamed out to me. And I think we are going to start seeing coaches lean that way, which is great. And then we think, well, what's the next thing? Because then all of a sudden everybody is trying to be different and fucking shit as the fan probably, and everyone's doing random stuff in the industry. Like, what the fuck?
Where did that come from?
Which might be a good thing, might shake things up.
I think it's a good thing. I think just try it and see. I just think there's no harm. I think people like to play it very safe. Like obviously, if you're part of a mentorship or you're on a program and you're kind of learning everything, people want to like stay in the boxes and follow the checklist all the way down and like, right, I've done everything. Now I'm going to make my 7-figure business and that's it. And it's like, you could probably take bits of that and then if you're brave enough, put a twist on it and just see if it works.
Well, I guess the question you ask yourself is how long are you going to be around? If you're planning to really build like genuine, authentic impact over a long period of time, what's the fucking rush? What you're rushing for?
It's funny actually, we had that conversation. So when we feel like this is chapter 2, like, you know, I've been in the industry 7 years now, and obviously we left the business that we were in last year. So this is like, we're now all in on our own thing. And I basically said, right, cool. So that was chapter 1, 7 years. So I'm not looking like to 40. So for me, I don't think I assess this now for the next 7 years.
So what does that look like for you guys then? What are the the key milestones? Obviously, I imagine you don't have everything mapped out, but what are the key milestones that you're aiming for? Because I think that will give, just before you continue, I think that will give, if anybody's listening and they're actually been able to follow along with this, I believe that what you're building is the North Star of what people should be aiming for in alignment and connection, everything we've talked about. So then my idea would be that whatever you're doing in the next 7 years should give people an insight into where they need to be.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool insight to give people.
I think, again, just using our experience, we have an offline presence. Like, so much of what has shaped us to become exceptional coaches is the offline. And I know online is in, but mate, for me, like
break down what you mean by offline, just to sort of
a physical
clarify.
presence. Like, I still love training in a gym, love that. Like, you can't replace that connection. And I've always wanted to own a gym. I always will. So the passion project for me, eventually over the next 7 years, like, I want to have a gym. I think the name is Arate for that. I think Arate is the offline. Even though it is online now, I think the real North Star of Arate is the feeling, the connection, because it represents essentially what it is. It's like the physical, mental, and then like the well-being side of things. Like, I want a gym. I want to have in that gym, like, and not just like, the S&C and the conditioning classes and strengths. I want, yoga. I want mindfulness. I want breath work. I want somewhere where you can see a therapist. I want it to be like a real 360 approach, and then like amazing food. And one of our pillars of Arate is the Arate experience, where we do retreats, but like really high-end retreats. So again, you learn about sleep, nutrition, performance, so that. And then our online program is something that we're going to be niching down hard on. But for us, that is like, you talk about experience and creating a journey. We want to work with clients for 12 months minimum. So like, part of our program is in 90 days. Like, we're actually going to rip that and roll up. Like, the part of our experience, like, to really create lifelong transformations, it's not 90 days. So I want to move away from that. I want clients, to work with us for a year, because the whole connection is like, you need a year at least. I guess where the end result is, mate, I know this sounds a bit wishy-washy, but I just want to be happy and content. And I don't think happiness is the virtue. I think it's contentment more. Because sometimes you're not always happy, but you are content. We can just if I can just wake up in 7 years' time and still be healthy and still be content, knowing that I love what I do, then I'll be sweet. Yeah.
I think contentment's a huge thing.
Yeah.
That people should probably learn, just try and understand a little bit more. I think for me personally, just to sort of add to that, I'd be completely honest, up until December this year, I've never felt content in my life. I'm 27, going on 28. And up until December was the first time I felt content.
That's sick, man.
Which is mad. And to think that I'll throw a random number out there, about 13% of what I can achieve I've done. I've got a long way to go. I think there's a lot of potential there. But it took me that long to understand what being content feels like, what it means. And then I think only sometimes in my experience, I didn't understand what I needed to do to feel content until I felt content. And then I walked the path backwards and was like, it was probably that, it was probably that, it was probably that. So for anybody, I think the message is, I guess, for anybody that is in the fitness industry, it's so overwhelming. There's such a demand for mental performance in it, because you have to be at your peak to be in the fitness industry and be successful in the fitness industry. It's such a high demanding industry. And for me, I've been building a business for the past 5 years. I'm 27, and up until a good few months ago, I didn't feel content. So I think it's something that I wouldn't want anybody to listen to this and feel worried because they don't feel content. But it feels good when you do get that feeling.
Yeah.
100%.
And I feel like the decisions that you can make and the inspiration that you get off the back of it, as you guys have clearly demonstrated, is just another level when you can couple it up with feeling content, which is just crazy. And that's what's opened my eyes to the power of mindset in business, because mindset's such a buzzword, isn't it? Especially in the fitness industry, it's such a buzzword. It's like, you kind of got to that point, didn't we, where an online coaching program was fitness and nutrition or health and nutrition, and then it was like, now we're doing mindset. mindset. What the
does it
fuck's
look like?
mindset?
Yeah.
And then it's developed now into mental performance and all these things. So I've always sort of stayed away from the word mindset because I think it's just wishy-washy and no one really understands it properly. But I've started using it more now because of that. And then when I meet guys like you, and especially couples like Mark and Jess, like I said before, that are on the way to achieving contentment, and maybe one day you might not feel it, and then you might feel it again, and the different things that tick the boxes. It makes you realize how lucky you are to be a business owner.
Yeah, man.
Especially in the fitness industry, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was just my little piece that I had in. This is the reason why we do these podcasts, because I'm genuinely, I guess, quite selfishly intrigued to what makes people tick.
Yeah.
Branding and marketing mean a lot to me, and the emotional connection you get from a brand. Like, I'm fascinated by how you can see something visual and feel connected to it.
Yeah.
I really start to pick it apart and try and understand it. So that's the reason why we do this, and I hope that comes across on audio. Sometimes it's
been a fun
it's
hour,
it's a little bit difficult, but just to finish off, we'll do a quick fire.
All right.
Just to break it up a little bit.
Okay.
I've not planned any of this, so I'm just gonna go for it. Okay,
go for it.
I'll start with something that we've already spoke about. So, working in the UK, working in Dubai.
Working in Dubai.
Dubai.
Working online PT or in-person PT?
Online.
Yeah, online.
Lifestyle business or empire? We've not actually broke that down, but I'm keen to understand.
Empire.
Interesting.
Fuck yeah, you said the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Represent or 247? Kind of the same, but
Represent, because I'm wearing a rep now, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else can we go for? 10-year plan or 20-year plan?
Make it longer.
No, I'm gonna go 10.
10.
Yeah.
10.
That's nice.
Because everything can change. Like, you can have a 10-year plan. Fuck knows I'm gonna be around 50, man. Like,
That's true.
might not even be here. Might have done too much gym.
Is there such a thing?
I don't know.
Eating too much good food, you know.
Too much gym. Too much meal
No,
prep.
that's cool. We just do that to break it up.
Yeah.
Just one last message from both of you, because I think this has been probably a little bit of a slightly deeper. I mean, we could go a lot deeper. But this has been a slightly deeper episode than we've done before, I think, because we've talked a lot about alignment and things which requires a person to think outside of the box a little bit.
Yeah.
One from each of you, if you've got a message for somebody that maybe listened or watched this and really likes what you're about as individuals, as people, as Izzy and as Nick, and they really want to build and have impact like what you're on your journey to do, what would be the one message you'd have for them? Izzy, if you want to go first.
Great question.
Yeah, really great question. I think from my own personal experience, especially in the last couple of years, I would say don't be afraid to stand strong in the vision you have and what you actually believe in, not what maybe programs or checklists or people that have done it before you are necessarily telling you is the right way to do something, because you might have the opportunity to put your own spin on it, and people might actually like that and appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, them checklists have come from somewhere, haven't they?
Oh yeah,
Somebody's made them in the beginning, so why not make your own?
And they've just been passed down, and you know, you have a chance to change that if you want to.
That's cool. Nick?
I'd say fail. Like, fail. And, like, embrace it so hard. Like, if I look at my life, I've failed for 95% of it. But that 5% that we were saying earlier, like, when I win big. But that's only because I know what failure is. I know what it feels like. So that just, like, propels me forward. And I'm not afraid to fail. Like, I fail every day. Everyone's afraid to make mistakes. You can fucking rip up the rule book whenever you want to start again. But that would be my advice, is like, but that comes from a mentality of like, you're never the expert. Yes, I can sit here today and say I'm an expert in what I do, but I'm still not an expert. I'm a student of the game. I'll always be a student. Yeah. So wake up every day and just be hungry for you to learn and just fucking fail, man. Yeah, enjoy it.
I like it. Cool. That's it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.